Ricky Ponting, is this a series, as some have suggested, of renewal or retirement?
Yes. It is one or two of those. Yeah, look, I mean, Ricky's been a fabulous player, one of our best ever batsmen. He's certainly declining, but he's coming off a very high benchmark, and he's still capable of runs. I was a bit disappointed with how he played in India. He got scores and then got out, and the way he got out was they were mental errors based on tiredness. When you get 70 odd and then you just play across balls, get LBW and play away from your body and chipped in the mid wicket, that's what he's got to overcome. And he made a big deal of, I'm training super. Yeah, I know I'm older and I know I need to work harder, and he's been training really hard. So physically he's been quite fit, but I think mentally he needs to find another place to be. And having the reins of the captaincy and the pressure, I don't think is a good thing for his mental state. And Tendulkar stepped away from that and it's making hundreds and 200s, not 50s and 60s. Yeah, they're nice. 50, you average 50, that's a terrific thing. But Tendulkar has seen that I don't need the mental pressure. Ponting hasn't. He refuses to step away from it and say, look, I can still make runs and be a wonderful player and help win series. And he refuses to do that, which in the end might cost him at the end of this series. He may become the first Aussie captain to lose 3 Ashes. The penalty he will pay if they lose is significant. He will go down the record books as one of the worst ever captains, and yet he probably doesn't deserve that sort of thing. So if he feels the extra pressure from day one, game one, all through this series with his batting, his captaincy, how he reacts to the opposition, how he reacts to the media, it's a significant factor. And I just feel that if Australia get behind after that first test, he will be under almost unbearable pressure for his leadership and his batting.
Given the fallibility of the vice captain Michael Clarke in 2020 and his recent patchy record, though, is he a shoe-in to take over from Ponting if and when the moment comes along?
Yeah, look, I don't take on board all the criticism of Clarke's recent form because recent is the last 6 to 9 months. Before that, he was Australia's most consistent batsman. And you won't be on a high all the time, and he's in a little bit of a dip, but not a significant one. Whether he has the thoughts in the back of his mind about captaincy and it's affecting the way he plays is also an issue. He probably shouldn't be in the 2020 side, and to his credit, he keeps saying, I'm not good enough for this form of the game, I have to find new ways to score. He understands he shouldn't be in the 2020 side, but they keep picking him. They should have a separate captain for that. He could captain the 50-over side, and it just takes a lot of the stress of dealing with all the things outside of batting, bowling, and fielding. But I've got a feeling Michael Clarke will have a good Ashes. I just got that feeling. He's too good a player. He's got some quality there. He'll be back on home wickets with their reliable bounce and high bounce, and I just got a feeling he will be the batting star for Australia.
All right, just a few predictions. Who'll be the leading wicket taker? Who'll be the leading run scorer? And who'll win the series? Just 3 quick ones off the top of your head.
The leading wicket taker for both sides? Or
overall, yeah.
I think Dougie Bollinger will be the highest wicket taker. Mm-hmm. Hope he stays fit. Yes. Dougie. Closely followed by Graham Swan. Right. We haven't quite discussed, but he is I think the ace up the sleeve for Andrew Strauss. Australia are not playing him well. We've got all these left-handers who may or may not be in the first test. And I think he's a quality world-class off-spinner. So Bollinger with pace and Swan with spin. I think they'll be the 2 stars with the ball. Batting-wise, just saying Michael Clarke will have a great series. I think Kevin Pietersen will have a poor series. I just
lost the mojo?
Yeah, look, I just don't... Unless somehow it all clicks for him. He has a great first test. He might dominate the rest of the series, but... if you're bowling to him the wrong ways, you can restrict him, I think, on Australian wickets, and the short ball will be one of those, and the Australians will be testing him. I just don't like what I've seen from Kevin Pietersen. And the fact that he hasn't made a big score for, since April 2009, he has made 100. And that means he's not hungry enough, and mentally he's not tough enough. That's what it says to me. If I was bowling to him, I'd let him know that all the time. Clarke will make lots. I think Andrew Strauss will have a good series too. I just think he's got, at this stage, he appears to be mentally tough. He's focused. Whether that'll be the same after the first test, we don't know, but I think Strauss will have a good one. If he can get through that early new ball stuff, if it doesn't swing much, he's the kind of guy who can grind out some big scores.
And just before you give your prediction for the series, who's likely to make their Ashes debut for Australia in this series?
I think Steve Smith is as likely as anybody. I mean, he's already made a test debut, obviously, and made some runs, but I think he's a pretty good chance. And the other one outside that's Usman Khawaja. If Marcus North is not required for the first test or fails early on, I think they might go for that youth.
Another left-hander.
Another left-hander? Well, we can't help that. But and Greg Chappell's hinted at the fact that it's an agey side and changes will be made. I think if Australia lose the first test, they'll make changes. I think they've waited long enough now. And Khawaja seems to be the next cab off the rank, and he is a very fine player. So he might make his test debut, and Smith might make his Ashes debut.
So looking at El Ninja and the weather patterns and who might do what to whom during the series, what do you reckon? What will be the outcome? What's the score line?
I think Australia can win these Ashes. It'll be tough. I mean, I hope it is. I hope we get a glimpse of a pinch of an iota of a frisson of 2005. How good will that be? We want cricket like that. Cricket needs to be restored to its promise in the summer game, test match cricket in particular. We want to get behind us a lot of controversy. So when I say we, not Australia, but cricket in general. And if we have a great Ashes series, we'll all, come the end of the fifth test in Sydney, I think we'll all say cricket's in a great position. But if we have a one-sided contest, and I don't think it'll be one-sided, we might walk away saying, well, maybe we should watch more 2020 cricket. But I think Australia can win. I think they'll win 2-1. But Brisbane Test is the absolute key. It's been said many, many times, but I think of all the series in the last, I think back to 86, 87, where Australia made the wrong choice when they made the wrong person 12th man in Brisbane. And they lost the test match with a really inexperienced bowling lineup with Matthews, Chris Matthews, Reid and Hughes. And they left a veteran on the sideline as a 12th man. I mean, Greg Chappell was the selector. So he said that. It's the key. The toss, the weather, the pitch, and how people play in the first test match will determine how this series goes. If it's a draw, I think Australia will still win 2-1, but England will be mentally very strong if they don't lose in Brisbane. Go with the Aussies 2-1, but I just hope it's a great summer.
And if you're spot betting on the first ball of the series, is it more likely to be a 4 or a wide?
Who's bowling it? Mitchell Johnson? Ooh. It could hit second slip if Mitch is bowling it. Wouldn't that be something and it is possible where we can have a giggle, but it is possible. And it would be if Mitchell Johnson did bowl the first ball, hit second slip, a la Steve Harmison 4 years ago, would that be a portent for the rest of the summer? Not too sure. And if England bowl it, it'll probably be Jimmy Anderson swinging it 1.5 foot, starting on middle and going outside off stump.
So Watson could be dropped in the gully the first ball of the series?
Or a third man, going after one hard.
So it could be a wonderful summer. It's not going to be predictable because there are so many varying factors given the declining Australian team and a very keen and well-prepared opposition. If you want to follow it, you can find us on the radio on Grandstand, ABC local radio, on abc.net.au/grandstand for the streaming of the coverage, and ABC digital radio in a number of capital cities. We'll also have live coverage of all these important matches. 5 test matches, moving on to a one-day series, which of course is the precursor to the World Cup on the subcontinent. So wherever you are, you can just flick the switch on the beach, on the car, at home, in the office, and follow us. Enjoy it.